Mercedes got caught sandbagging, so we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. The first story is Toto Wolff and Mercedes may have been caught sandbagging. Mercedes started the new era of Formula One poorly last year as the team were haunted by a porpoising issue and lack of performance, which saw them struggle to even lay a glove on Ferrari and Red Bull. Towards the end of the season, upgrades applied to the W13 saw it become more competitive, with George Russell picking up the team's only win of the season in Brazil. Heading into preseason in Bahrain, the team would have been hoping for a smooth 3 days that would give them hope going into the first race of the season. Unfortunately for the team, this has not been the case, with Lewis Hamilton and George Russell so far being unable to set the lap times of Ferrari and Red Bull, although this could be down to the type of tests they are completing. Mercedes Friday was cut short as Russell experienced a hydraulic failure similar to the issue that Hamilton has at last season's Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. With preseason testing almost over, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has claimed that while his team expect to be competitive this year, they are currently not on the level of Ferrari and Red Bull. But Wolff seemed to suggest Mercedes are sandbagging in a bid to throw off their rivals. He admitted the team were still keeping some performance in the tank ahead of the opening race next weekend. Wolff explained, "Yeah, we are still hiding a little bit." He revealed Red Bull and Ferrari look like the pace setters, but stressed it is still impossible to tell this early in the campaign. He added, "They are fast, no surprise there. It's very difficult to judge at that stage. Everyone is playing around with fuel loads and it's a little bit hiding on engine mode, so you can't really judge. Red Bull is fast, but so is Ferrari because they easily set a fast lap, a bit like last year. The level is very high with these two teams," the Austrian told Sky Italia. "Our goal must be to fight for the championship, but what we see today doesn't make me optimistic. I don't think we are capable of going as fast as Red Bull and Ferrari. We have to be realistic. What is certain is that we are a great team that can develop quickly. We need to understand and analyze the data. We have everything it takes to be competitive." One piece of good news for Mercedes following preseason testing is that it appears as if their porpoising issues are a thing of the past, with the W14 not bouncing down the straights as it was last year. George Russell has admitted that he is content with the team's current issues as they are solvable and do not leave the team panicking and scrambling for solutions like they were during last season's tests. The second story is Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton revealed both good and bad news for Mercedes fans following 3 days of testing in Bahrain last week. The Silver Arrows joined all F1 teams in trying out their new models ahead of the season opener at the same venue this weekend, beginning their bid to recover from a difficult 2022 campaign. After 8 consecutive constructors titles, Toto Wolff's team managed just one Grand Prix success in the 21 race campaign. That came from George Russell in Brazil, with Hamilton not taking the checkered flag in a season for the first time in his storybook career. In the driver's standings, Russell finished 4th and Hamilton 6th, with the pair notably off the pace set by front-runners Red Bull. And Mercedes were 3rd in the constructors, having been beaten into the runners-up spot by Ferrari. For much of the year, Hamilton in particular was plagued by the issue of porpoising, with the car bouncing on the track and making control difficult. But despite both drivers having troubles in Bahrain, the F1 icon claimed that issue had essentially been sorted out. "Right now, for example, the bouncing that we had has pretty much gone, so that's a huge step for us," Hamilton told media, including PlanetPhone.com in Bahrain. "It's nice to drive without bouncing, but there are still some underlying things that we're working through." And the 7-time world champion, whilst praising team members, then sounded a note of caution, adding, "They're just things that we're working through. Some of the balance limitations that we had last year are just present, so we went through them." Another poor year for Hamilton and Mercedes is likely to intensify speculation on the future of the 38-year-old. Back in October, he revealed he planned to sign a multi-year contract with the team, but there have been no updates on negotiations since. Indeed, pundit Jenson Button has tipped him to walk away if his team doesn't produce a competitive car this year. Hamilton's current contract expires at the end of 2023. The third story is George Russell set 6-race deadline for Mercedes to hit race-winning form. George Russell wants to see the Mercedes W14 in contention for wins by race 6, from which stage the big points are on offer. The F1 2023 season is now just over the horizon. Bahrain pre-season testing is complete and the Bahrain International Circuit is where the teams and drivers shall return in a matter of days to get the new campaign underway. There we will see the true pecking order for the start of this season come to light, and Russell expects that it will show a Red Bull team, the defending constructors champs and home of the reigning drivers champion, that is still looking mighty strong. But Russell does not believe it is vital that Mercedes start the F1 2023 campaign on their level. It is more about their potential to join that title picture, and from round 6 at Imola onwards is where he says the most damage can be done in that regard. I think we have got to go in with a bit of an open mind, said Russell, as per GP fans. I don't want to sit here and say Mercedes is back because that is totally unfair, and from what we have seen, Red Bull is very, very strong. What I can say is I have got the best team in the business and everyone is working flat out to get Mercedes back on top. When you look at the calendar as a whole, I think we have only got 5 races in the first 2.5, 3 months, whereas at the end of the season you have probably got 10 or 11 in the same time span. So this season is going to be won or lost midway to end of the season, not in the first 5 races. As much as we want to go out there and win in Bahrain next weekend, we know that it is more important that we have the right car in the right window come race 6, because that is when the big points are going to be won. There had been chatter of a B-Spec W14 being in the pipeline should Mercedes decide to divert away from their zero-pod philosophy, but while the team has denied that rumor, this does not mean that bodywork changes are off the table. Indeed, that's on its way, said the Brackley squad, with this updated bodywork set to create a different look to the Bahrain GP W14, yet a creation still unique to Mercedes. Russell will hope that its arrival sends the team into the true deep waters of F1 2023 with the ability to keep their heads above water in this title fight. It is at this point also when we will see how well Red Bull really can handle the slashing of their wind tunnel time. Can they use what they have wisely enough to hold off a potential Mercedes charge? Good to have you back, Formula One. The fourth story is Mercedes will be faster at Bahrain GP. This is why. Mercedes fans have been left concerned after the 3 days of pre-season testing in Bahrain last week. Red Bull dominated the test days, giving confidence in the RB19, as well as Ferrari being up there with Mercedes just a bit behind. However, one fan has explained why the Brackley-based team will be faster at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Although lap times are not completely representative of the team's expected performance during testing, as the teams will be running different setups to gather data, fans are still unsure of what to expect from Mercedes in the 2023 season. Now, F1 analysts who have looked over the data from testing have posted to Twitter, Ferrari and Mercedes will improve in #Bahrain GP. Here is why. It's a medium downforce track. RB used a medium DF wing in the tests that suited the track. Ferrari ran a lower DF wing, low grip and bad tire wear. Mercedes used a high load wing, terrible top speed. Ferrari and Mercedes were doing testing programs different to Red Bull. Ferrari was probably trying to make the car work with lower DF rear wings and could not use their medium DF wing. Merc was probably assessing the porpoising. They continued. Once Ferrari and Mercedes will bolt on rear wings more appropriate to the track, they will surely improve relative to RB. Ferrari should gain significant race pace due to lower tire wear. Mercedes should gain single lap performance and the ability to attack and defend. Can't wait. All will be revealed at the Bahrain Grand Prix this weekend, where Mercedes fans will be hoping to see the Brackley-based squad back being competitive at the top of the grid. Another team who showed a lot of improvement over testing was Aston Martin, who were up in the thick of it with the top 3 teams. The opening race is set to be an exciting start to the 2023 season. The fifth story is former F1 champion predicts why Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes are stalling contract negotiations. Lewis Hamilton may be stalling on a possible contract extension with Mercedes because he might be waiting to see how competitive the Silver Arrows are this year. According to 1996 F1 world champion Damon Hill, Lewis Hamilton is currently in the final year of his contract with the team, where he won 6 of his 7 F1 drivers' world championships. While discussions on renewals have been in the air for some time now, the ink has yet to be put to paper. Damon Hill shared his thoughts on the matter in a column for The Telegraph in the United Kingdom, where he said, Hamilton is out of contract at the end of this season, and it is going to be fascinating to see his next move. While both he and Mercedes have been saying for months that he plans to carry on, the fact remains that with less than a week until the first race of the year on March 5th, nothing has yet been announced. It begs the question, why? One possible explanation is that both sides are waiting to see just how competitive Mercedes are before committing to a new deal. Hamilton struggled for most of 2022 and finished the season without a win or a pole position for the first time since his debut in 2007. Hill feels that if the trend continues this year, the Briton may not be inclined to extend his stay with the team. He added, "If they start 2023 miles off the pace, perhaps Lewis will be less minded to sign a new long-term deal, or perhaps it is the team who are dragging their heels." Lewis does not come cheap. He gives Mercedes a lot, but he costs them a lot too. In George Russell, they have a young driver who might be capable of delivering the title in the right car. It should be noted that George Russell was able to beat Lewis Hamilton by a 35-point margin in his first season with the team last year. Lewis Hamilton has no plans to slow down just yet and is still hoping to prolong his F1 career amid continuing speculation about his current contract situation. Speaking in an interview during the launch event of the Mercedes W14, Hamilton said, "And on the other side of things, it's the mental and the physical side of things, just continuing to try to evolve, working with different people. I don't want to highlight what areas, but just on the physical and mental side of things."